Okay guys, here we are, Gladiators in the garage, and a little update. The wheels have been painted, but the back side of the wheels have not been finished. As you can tell, so you can see the back side of the wheels is a little bit lighter color than the front. So the fronts are completely done. This is an example of the finished product right here. Center cap and ring, obviously no bolts, but black rings, all painted with some VHT. All those are done, and the wheels, the faces have plenty of coats, and it took a lot more paint than I thought to really make the orange stand true to itself. Yeah, so it may not be a big deal to go ahead and mount them like this. It's just I want to be able to make sure it's going to look right with those small details. You know, when you look at it up close, you know, I just want it to be done right. So that's probably what we'll end up doing, is we'll paint these probably tomorrow after work and start installing the lift kit. So like I said, Skyjacker 4.5, and we'll be slapping that on. Just something just to kind of get us by, since the Gladiator is so new on the market, and we just need something to get us in the air right now. So we'll end up replacing some components of that in the future, but for now it'll work and it will get us down the road. So that's really all that matters right now. Definitely not trying to build this thing for extreme rock bouncing and rock crawling. Obviously it's a daily driver truck, so all the stuff that can go wrong and all the stuff that eventually will go wrong, and just, you know, obviously we're gonna be replacing stuff every so often when it needs attention, and you know, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. But having everything fresh and new is also pretty nice, so we won't really have to worry about replacing ball joints and tie rods and stuff like that right off the bat, which is cool. So that'll last us for a little minute, and obviously, you know, not slamming into curbs going 30 miles an hour trying to bend our C gussets or our C yokes, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, that's the plan anyways. Gonna go ahead and start ripping out the fenders and the bumper and all that good stuff, and get ready to do the lift kit tomorrow. Have not ever worked on a JL or a Gladiator, so all this is going to be really new and fresh, kind of figuring it out as we go. So, you know, most of the knowledge from previous models should apply, so we should be okay. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. Wheels turn out great. Honestly, love it. Like, it just looks so perfect to me, and we really do think that it's going to look good and match everything and just turn out really awesome. So pretty happy with it so far, how everything's turned out. You can see on the wheels, I have to kind of give you a close-up later, but it does have like a kind of like a metallic flake in it. All you can really see is how dirty it is right now. Definitely need to wash it. But all right guys, this is it without the bumper. I got that off finally, and it was a pain compared to the JK. Obviously you have the 8 stud bolts on the mounting connector right here, so that was easy. That was not a problem at all. Thought I was gonna have to take off all these little bolts right here to get the side cover. As you can see, I started taking that off the first time, realized that it was too complicated because of all the electrical routing and clips and bolts and rivets, and it's just too tight in. So I left the other side and just unbolted the 8 bolts, you know, crawled underneath there, and went at it for a while. Finally got them all out and pulled it off, so it came off really easily. It's just it's a pain getting to those bolts. So next comes the fenders, and I'll show you guys that in time lapse. Alrighty guys, there is the first fender, and we're gonna figure out how to separate. Okay guys, so update on the fenders. A lot different from the JK, obviously having a separate fender flare from the actual base of the fender. Alright, so there's the light and inner fender assembly. There's like little tack spots where the plastic is melted. Let's see if I can find a spot where I'll show you. And so like they melt it down from the outside onto the fender. So you literally have to rip it off, and you can see these spots where the plastic has been ripped off. So I basically had to step on the fender, you can see my shoe print, and basically rip the inner part off of the fender. And I'll have to go and trim all these little tabs on the edge. So very interesting on the JL fenders. These are obviously the sport fenders, so the Rubicons might be a little different, but I could be doing this completely wrong. Didn't really like Google it or anything like that, so we just kind of figured it out. So I'm sure there's a more simple way out there to do that. It's all good, it worked, and you know, I got the result I was looking for. Slim blinker kit for that later. So like, had to drill out all these rivets on the edge, separate a very cheap inner fender. These inner fenders are like milk carton plastic, but it works, you know. It's not as high quality as the JK was, but yeah, so that's how that fender separates now. And we have a cool looking fender already cut basically. Just got to trim the edge of those tabs. Very interesting and difficult separation process there. All we got to do now, like I said, get all the clips out the body, you know, put them back in the fender, pop the fender back on, and we'll be good to go. And then obviously trim those tabs, and it'd be a nice clean fender there. And then obviously have to trim the inner fender, mount that back up. Definitely not doing that tonight. Knock some stuff out while we can, and then hopefully this weekend kind of dial it in. Alright, so that's the fender, guys. It's dirty from being on this towel. Don't know what was on the towel, but obviously it was dirty. So yeah, it looks good. I need to wipe the fender off, obviously. Need a support bracket for it too, for sure. Might throw a bolt up there to kind of help stabilize it, but still got to cut the inner fender and see where that lines up, and throw that back under there with the 10mm bolts, and it'll look a lot better. But it's coming together. I really do like how that fender is molded, so it's already pretty much cut for you, so it looks really good, and it'll look a lot better once we get like a light kit for it. Okay guys, another day here, and we're gonna get started on the lift kit. So got some daylight left, evening time, a little bit before dinner, so we're gonna try to get what we can knocked out, at least on the front anyways. As you guys saw, we did the fenders, got those squared away. Have not done the inner fenders yet, as you can see right there. Those still need to be cut and installed, but yeah, we got most of it done. Front bumpers off and all that good stuff. I really do want to cut that crash bar don't really think it's really doing anything. As you can see, it's just like a little thin piece of metal. A lot more useless than the JK one was, so that's going to be gone, I'm sure, for clearance purposes. Or actually, I can just unbolt that right there. Yeah, you can see. And then we'll just have these two little whatever frame pieces sticking down there, so no big deal. And let's see, still got to do the rear fender delete modification like we did the front. As you can see, gonna be a lot more higher clearance. I'm gonna do a time lapse for you guys and get the suspension going, so hopefully it'll be similar to the JK, and hopefully we don't run into any issues. So just gonna try to crank it out. I got the wheels outside drying. As you see, they're not here right now because I had to finish painting the back of the wheels. Had to make sure those were gonna be you know, up to our standards. So wanted everything to match good and have a good texture and all that good stuff. So wanted it to be as best as we can get it. So alright, so got to a pretty good stopping point to show you guys some things that I've noticed so far. Better look with the tires off. You can see the big brakes, the dual piston brake calipers, which is awesome. A lot of extra stopping power there, you know, truck brakes, so that's awesome, really good. Got the jack stands on the frame, axle lowered as far as it'll go. I got the track bar out, super easy. Let's see, springs are about ready to come out. Shocks were super easy to come out because those top bolts up there, those through bolts, really convenient and makes life a lot faster and more simple. So let's see, got a little bit of mud on top of my ball joint right there, but yeah, I got sway bar links off, got the brake lines disconnected. There's a lot of things I noticed that they improved to make a lot of sense on like efficiency, which is nice. So like that crash bar right here, 2 bolts came right off. It's not really a crash bar, it was actually just like a cover, because you can see it's like paper thin. Anyways, that'll look a lot better with that off. But they had like right here on the sway bar link, they had a flag nut right there. Made it really simple to get that off, because on the JK you sit there and have to turn it with a wrench for 2 hours. But the brake line brackets, so this one I think was like I think it's like a 13 millimeter, something like that. Probably gonna take this bracket off because I hate it. I don't know why they would bolt this to the control arm, makes no sense. And well, not to me anyways, but it would be really bad to flex with that, obviously. So let's see here, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the other one under the spring perch right here, 10 millimeter, and that just popped out really easily. So this is, I mean, it's all really complicated. The ABS line, it's all really like weird how it's ran. It's kind of different from the JK, obviously, but still pretty much the same thing. Going to drop the axle a little bit more and try to get those springs out, and then start looking at the new parts. So got this knocked out in maybe like 30 minutes, if that. So we have paint out there drying. Gonna go out there and take care of that for a minute, throw some more cuts down while that's drying, come back in here, lay down some more work, and I'll update you guys here in a second once I get the stuff in. Got to do the control arms, the front load control arms too. So not sure if I'm going to do that right now with the axle droop down. Probably going to lift it up a little bit more and then unbolt those so the axle doesn't flip flop everywhere like a fish, you know. Trying to stay safe here. So guys, the front is done. It's on the jack right now, as you can see. I'm about to let it down, tires are back on. Until we finish painting and mounting the 40s, I have to connect the passenger side sway bar link. But this lift does look good. So it's a pretty basic lift, but I'm pretty happy with it so far, just how it looks. You know, the springs look pretty high quality. You know, it looks good where it's at. And I'm gonna drop it real quick so you guys can really see how it looks. Okay, so here it is. Front is all done. It looks like a pre-runner or something with those fenders and the missing bumper and all that good stuff. I'm gonna do a little side view, you guys. This camera is like really zoomed in, so it's really hard for me to show perspective. Definitely got some squat going on. It's a pretty good sized lift. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's obviously a lot higher than stock, and you can see those control arms there, which looks good. You know, like I said, hard to see it in this lighting, but I'll end up showing you guys outside for sure, easily. Yeah, I can't really see much of it right now, but got to do the rear next. But yeah. All right, working on the rear now. This is starting to look pretty cool. I got the rear fenders separated, so I got to pop this back in once I'm done with the rear suspension, because it helps with the light exposure. But looking awesome. I'm loving this so far. Honestly, I'm liking this lift kit a lot more than I thought. I just don't really like the front track bar it came with. Yeah, hard to see it. It's got a Heim joint. I don't know, it's kind of weak looking, but everything else is pretty sturdy and solid, for real. And then obviously still working on the rear, but it's coming together and it's awesome. All right, got the rear fender off, just ripped it off. Just a few little, I think like 7-8 millimeter bolts right there. You can see right here, 1, 2, 3, ripped it off literally. So going to obviously separate it just like I did on the front, and I'll have a lot more light exposure to the rear suspension here, which is nice. So I'm gonna get this jacked up, put the frame on jack stands, let her down a little bit, and start unbolting stuff, you know, shocks, sway bar links, track bar on the axle, stuff like that. So shouldn't be too bad. Definitely don't want to film all this just because it's kind of a pain to really show back here. There's not a lot of room, and like I said, trying to get it knocked out, it's pretty simple. So I mean, I'm sure we'll end up doing more you know, serious suspension later in the future, so we'll definitely be doing more content on that. But for right now, this ain't really much. I'm gonna go ahead and get to this and show you guys what I run into. This is all new to me. Have not looked any of this up tutorial wise, you know, just kind of going figuring it out as I go. So I mean, should be pretty self-explanatory, hopefully. Disconnect the brake lines and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really cool.